Welcome to Super Geeks. And we're going to talk about Captain Marvel. That movie you might have seen, I don't know, March 18th, 2019. That's the current show. And with me today, as always, is Carlos Pedraza. How you doing, Carlos?
Doing great. Ready for action?
I'm doing fine. I know you met me, so.
Raul for the win.
He did win the internet.
It's so perfect.
We're already starting this episode off
It's
real
so
strong.
perfect.
That's an inside joke nobody will know, so I don't know whether to do it over. No, we'll just go.
No.
No, that's an inside joke they will get because they've heard Raul get so mad about it on air.
It's true.
He doesn't... All right, fine.
Oh God, it hurts.
You know
Damn it,
Raul's been
George,
planning that
not
for the last
Carlos.
hour.
I'm laughing when my button's not pressed down. Anyways. So we're going to talk about Captain... Yeah, actually. Anyways, we're going to talk about Captain Marvel. We're going to do a... By the way, everybody, if you're listening on Subspace Radio, we're going to talk spoilers. Somebody give a spoiler. Somebody give a spoiler. Let's go with... Casey, give a spoiler. Just make a noise.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Well, shit, you're now the official spoiler man.
Fucking A, it was amazing.
Do it again so I can record it. Go.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Well, shit, you're hired, man.
I thought you were
You've
recording
got-
already. What the hell happened?
Damn
He's
best
already
microphone
recording,
I've
but
ever
he's
heard.
going to splice the audio off.
Oh, my God. And with us
He
today
wants it as
is...
his new ringtone.
He hasn't seen the movie, but he's our spoiler alert computer voice, and he's Casey. How you doing today?
Hey there, white guy number 2.
And also somebody that...
Hey, some of my best friends are white guys.
I almost married a white guy.
Are you sure about that?
No.
Carlos, have you ever
Absolutely.
dated a white guy?
Wait, you guys are going to kill Sean. Stop it.
Stop it. This is too much.
I mean, he's not wearing pants. He might pee all over his carpet, and his wife...
Wait, you're supposed to let him give us his pants status.
Well, Joe's not here. Somebody has to do this. Anyways.
Oh boy.
You need to be less worried about him peeing on himself and more worried about the other end.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Casey, you're like Casey Kasem, but you're... You know, it was that was a bad joke. Anyways,
He's just living.
he's just living.
Like,
Raul,
he's in, but
the
alive.
bowel.
Yes.
Did you have
That
a
is,
bowel movement earlier?
Oh,
That's a little personal, George.
I mean, I went from a pee joke to I'm sorry. Anyways, how are you doing, Raul?
I'm
was
doing
a-
fine now that
was
we
a
had
very-
this awkward conversation.
That was a very inky joke.
It's gone beyond awkward.
This
It's
is
in
like
its
the
own
meetings at
stratosphere
Mensa
now.
where people don't
As
know
I
each
always
other.
As I always say, comedy is risk. Anyways, so you're doing okay?
Wait, Raul, explain to me what the Mensa meetings. Because
They're very awkward. They're very awkward, and they're not friendly at all. It's a bu-
Joe mentions them too. I kept wondering what the hell they was talking about. And we have Sean, and Sean, I'm assuming you have no pants on.
Well, of course I have no pants on. Thank
You
God.
made a promise.
And I'm not on a carpeted floor, thank God, because
Oh,
holy
thank
shit,
God.
it would be messy. That's the point.
I'm hoping tile or out in the woods.
Messy or fun, Sean? Which one?
A little bit of both.
I
When
like
fun-
it.
they're not mutually exclusive.
Not
That's
at all.
right,
Nope.
that's right.
This is a blast. So, and we've just begun.
Don't let it be a blast when you have no
He's
pants
already-
on. I mean,
He's already
so
having
ready
to-
to move on to the next topic.
He's already having to hold his chest because it hurts.
St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Super Geeks special. St. Patrick's Day.
Yep.
Yeah. 75% of the people here are drunk.
No. Maybe.
That was a really
Anyways.
quick no, George.
That was a denial.
I was in denial all through my life, like my parents were, about me being there. Anyways.
Yeah, but then I left Egypt.
Oh, yeah. And with us today also is Sunset.
That was a Joe Diaz corny dad joke. Right
Wait,
fucking
Sean,
there.
I said
Thank
you didn't have any
son.
pants, but I didn't ask how
You're
you were
welcome.
doing.
What now? What now, George?
Oh, I said you didn't have any pants, but how are you doing?
I'm hanging in there, man. I'm looking forward to the shenanigans tonight.
As an
He's hanging around.
What?
What?
Oh,
But how are you doing?
Well, I've finished off a box of Lucky Charms, so my fucking St. Patrick's Day is complete. Thank you very much.
Anyways,
you don't hear it.
Yeah, that's true. I could edit it out anyways. And
Oh
also,
boy, can't wait to edit all this shit out.
this is gonna be an awesome show, you guys. It's St. Patrick's Day. Sunseal. I already know you're doing good because you're laughing, but otherwise, how are you doing?
I'm flabbergasted, and I'm laughing out of a desperate need for us to move on.
I love that.
Maybe it's the tears of a clown.
Oh my lord.
Oh my God, Carlos, that reference.
Wow. So we're gonna start with something that I'm hoping isn't too short, but not too long, which is not my last date, but Captain Marvel. It was a good movie, as far as I'm concerned. Captain Marvel. We're gonna review this on spoiler alert. Casey, can you do that again?
Spoiler alert.
And you don't even change your tone. That's great. So I'm gonna give you for once. I'm gonna give you guys my opinion first, and then I'm gonna let someone else speak. So I actually usually ask someone else first. So to be fair, I thought it was a good movie, but not a great movie. If I have to give it a rating, I'm gonna say 6.5. And the reason why, although I loved the film as far as they hyped it up, first female Marvel hero leading a film. Brie Larson is the character of Carol Danvers, who used to be known as Miss Marvel, and then became Captain Marvel, was somebody I was familiar with because of a comic.
Not in the movies.
In a different way. We'll get to that. Marvel, you know what I'm saying? Oh, you're right though. I know what you're saying. But the film is. Who's doing that? Oh, that would be Raul. Raul, watch your button. That sounded weird. He's doing it again.
I'm not doing anything.
No, really.
What's going on, Raul, is your mic is picking up feedback and going activated.
Yeah, are you not getting? Are you not?
Yeah, are you on
pushed to
voice
speak?
activated?
I am non-voice activated. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll edit
It's
this out.
because I don't like using my hands. It's just terrible.
I mean,
This is like when I say anytime the word can.
I want to know who it was who just went.
Rawr,
well, I was watching the team speak, and the light went up every time they made that noise.
He's got a
It was
pencil
wrong.
in his mouth or the use.
But who just went?
That would be me.
See, you wear no pants and
He's a
everything's
Batman
on the
villain.
table.
Yep.
So,
Okay, now I'm on push to talk. Good.
all right.
Thank you, Raul.
So Carol Danvers has been a character that people that read the comics knows about. She's never been represented on screen other than the animated stuff. Miss Marvel became Captain Marvel, and as far as Brie Larson is concerned, the character is great. Her representation of her. Now, look. Here's the thing. Was the film good? Yes. But was the film great? No, it wasn't. It wasn't like any better than. I would give it the same rating as the original Thor movie. About that one, because Thor: The Dark World wasn't that good. But Brie Larson as an actress. Well, the thing is that I like her, but I don't feel like she gives that energy, that strength of voice. Now, it doesn't mean that you have. This is not me saying a woman has to do whatever. What I'm trying to say is that Brie Larson was. It's funny. It's actually very funny.
George,
because,
let me.
Wait.
It's about no. I just want to say you're doing fine. I don't think you need to qualify your opinion on this. You're doing fine. You don't have to say. Your criticisms are, I think, valid. Okay, without you having to say.
All right.
So just keep going, brother. That's all I'm saying, man. You're doing fine.
So Brie Larson, I want to just say that she's a good. I've seen her in other movies. She's not the greatest actress on the earth, but nobody is. And so when you have a film like this that's so hyped up and so many people are having their eyes on it, it's very easy to take every little word that a critic says and say they're just saying that because of whatever. No, I absolutely love the idea of bringing Captain Marvel to the screen. I was always rallying at the flag with Wonder Woman. But the thing is that as a lead actress, with the first film, I like this version of Carol Danvers. But it didn't deserve the hype. I'm glad it's getting the money it's getting. But if I'm going to be critical about it, it wasn't just Brie Larson. I liked her as Captain, as Carol Danvers. I think that the story or the direction or whatever had been written, it was very cliche from going from point A to point B to point C. It was a little too easy, too quick for Nick Fury. Samuel L. Jackson was great, but they just went through it's almost like they just did the paint by the numbers. It was almost like everything you saw in the trailer was like, okay, she lands on Earth, she makes a couple of jokes, she meets Nick Fury, and then they just move on, and they introduce the aliens, and then they have a couple of twists. So, although it was entertaining, especially the third act, and especially Goose the Cat, we'll get into that when you guys want to talk about that. I'm not going to say there's a certain order you have to say it. But, as far as the paint by numbers thing, I'm going to say the first 2 acts were, if I'm sitting there watching it on DVD or whatever, that's great. Get to the third act, and when I say get to the third act, it doesn't mean you have to have action. But it was kind of boring up until then. And that's just my opinion. I want to move on to somebody else. Sean, go ahead.
Yeah, I really cannot disagree with much of anything you said. I went into this film when I excited about it because I've been seeing trailers for it since last summer, and I thought it looked amazing. And it was the last summer or about November when we started seeing trailers. I can't remember, but anyway, it looked amazing, and they did an excellent job with the trailers and setting it up. And then all of a sudden, last month or so, before it came out, we were inundated with this controversy surrounding Brie Larson, and I think it's unfortunate because I think we're all being put in a position, especially as white guys, of having to say that no, really, this isn't. We're like having to defend ourselves, like you kind of did when you did your review, and I was saying don't worry about qualifying it. We're having to qualify this and say, look, we've got nothing against Brie Larson, we've got nothing against women in lead roles and things like that. And it's not really fair because this just was not a great film. Period. I mean, it was.
This is the whole thing that I was arguing against when all this controversy started, and people said, "Oh, it's just white men and they're all trolls." It's like, no, there are quite a few people. Yeah, sure, there are quite a few people who are doing this just to troll and just to be. But it's going to wind up being this thing where every person has to qualify their opinion afterward because it's a mediocre movie.
I'm going to let Sean keep going.
When the critics themselves call it a mediocre movie.
Right, and this is the problem with it, is that the trolls didn't do, for their position, whatever their whacked out position is, they didn't do it any good. In fact, it would have been kind of almost better if it had been really fucking good, this movie, because they're not doing their position any good whatsoever. By having preemptively gone after this film. It's like George said, this is paint by the numbers. This is a movie. These things happen. Okay, it's like they got a whiteboard with magnets on it with how scenes go in a Marvel movie. Let's do this here. Let's do this here. And they just keep rearranging the pieces. The biggest problem I had with this wasn't so much that the story was just kind of, okay, we've seen this before. My biggest problem was that the thing Marvel movies always do well, and I'm not taking complete credit for noticing this because Red Letter Meter pointed this out too. Marvel movies do a great job with the actual characters themselves, even if the movies are fucking stupid. Okay,
yeah.
I mean, and this movie failed on that front entirely. On the development of the character, are they ever actually providing a likable character, one we could relate to?
I'm going to disagree with you on that, but I'll let you keep going. Keep going.
Okay, I got none of that from this. Carol Danvers, she was so all over the place as far as her character was. At one moment, she's telling jokes. It's like there was no consistency as far as the personality of the character was concerned. And on top of that, the jokes fell flat. And the other thing too, here's the thing. I get that this movie was set in 1995, but holy shit, shoving 1990s nostalgia down our throat every 2 fucking seconds, it got to be a little over the top.
Actually, I kind of liked it. Actually, it was like a Guardians throwback.
But no, Guardians didn't every 2 seconds inundate you with 90s nostalgia.
Yeah,
this was
that's true.
This wasn't just about the music, okay? This is about
I'm wondering if, like,
everything.
yeah, you're right. Go ahead.
I mean, so okay, so we got that's the problem right there. I didn't the story didn't do anything for me. It was kind of typical. And my favorite part of the story was, but this was so telegraphed. Like I said, it's not even in spoiler territory. That first of all, if you haven't been paying attention, we know who the real bad guys in the MCU are. I mean, it's not like this was a real a big twist to find out that the guys that they're killing are really not the bad guys.
Actually,
you know
it was. That was actually
Why-
surprising to a lot of people.
But why have they not been watching?
There's a lot
the
of
MCU?
people who don't read comics, Sean.
But it's not just the comics; it's the MCU itself.
Well, even in the comics, the Skrulls were part of Secret Invasion, which they can still do, by the way.
I haven't read the comics in years. This is all based on just the MCU itself.
No, honestly, Sean,
I'm
going to let you keep going, but hang on. I just want to intercede for
watching,
1 second.
Let him finish.
People
George.
not watching
Right.
Agents of Shield. I mean, at all. I mean, which is the
I
only
don't watch
series.
Agents of Shield.
It,
Stopped
well,
watching
actually-
it after midway through season 2.
Well, here's the thing about Agents of Shield is that Agents of Shield literally directly ties. It's the only Marvel series that.
Yeah, I know that
directly
it
ties
does.
to the
I've read that
MCU.
it does, but I don't watch it. Therefore,
Oh, well, you should.
I don't really like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. either.
Well, okay. Here's the deal. Okay, so
I watch it, but I'm like, eh.
Okay, so I got. I was not, but I enjoyed those guys. What kind of tipped me off that they weren't the bad guys was first and foremost is instead of killing that sniper in the beginning, they just faked her out and said, no, those are just refugees. Don't kill them. And it's like if they were really the bad guys, they would have just walked up to the sniper.
Did that really tip you off? Because that's kind of stretching.
That was one. Why wouldn't they just kill her on the spot?
Well, you're going by not having the information about who the Skrulls are in the comics, so that's.
I didn't even know who that was. That didn't matter. We didn't even know who they were at the time. I don't think at the beginning of the movie. So, but here's the thing, and all this, they were a little bit too funny. I'm sorry for tropey bad guys. It's the thing. So, and that's the thing about this movie was nothing but trope after trope after trope. I mean, I would say you gave it a 6.5. I give it. It's not a horrible film. Okay. I don't think it's possible to make a horrible MCU film. All right, they're all.
That's true. We don't actually have a bar for that.
Yeah, and by the way, here's the thing with the whole with Goose, the whole thing. That cat was not used nearly enough for my taste.
Well, that's the funny thing. You don't in the comics.
Certainly not enough to have a poster of itself.
That's what
by
I mean.
itself.
given that we're going to be talking about Love, Death, and Robots tonight, I think we're going to be very cat heavy, obviously, this episode.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, Carlos. Yep.
I love me some entertaining cats. You know that.
Yes.
So
especially when they're part of the apocalypse. So.
Well, yeah. I mean, look. Hey, you've seen I have a Star Trek Cats calendar because my kid gets me. So, but here's the thing. There's. I watch. Look at this movie. It's like. It seems thrown together, and I'm not seeing the type of it just didn't seem like and this isn't even a rip on Brie Larson because she worked with what she was given. Look, I saw her in Room, and I thought she was fucking amazing in that movie. Okay, if you haven't seen that film.
I would like to point out one thing to the people saying that that's exactly what I was going to say, is that the script was probably not very strong, and I mean in its original form, it was probably not very strong. And then when the editors at Marvel and the MCU get it, they rework it like a million times with different writers. So if the core is not good, then the mutations are not going to be any better.
Yeah, I kind of see where you're going with that.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Raul. You're going to get to talk next.
I think that's a good point. I think that they packaged it enough to be a presentable product that we can introduce a character 3 weeks before Endgame. I think that was the whole point of this movie. It's what I said a couple of weeks ago that this was literally a 2-hour trailer to get us ready for Endgame is basically what it was.
And I want to point out one thing because obviously the audience doesn't know. This is kind of a funny story, and Carlos is going to probably chuckle. During the time that Sean was actually live watching Captain Marvel. He was on a date with his wife to see it, and he kept going, should we stay for the end credits? And me and Carlos kept saying, yes, you have to see it. And his wife was like, that's the impression I got. And you did.
She was.
And Carlos even said, tell her to go to the bathroom. You're gonna watch this. And literally,
I'm trying to be a problem solver.
Yep. Yeah. And so I said, no, stay for the part, especially the second one, because that was, and so so
my wife
Sean, tell us a real time story. Like, how did your wife feel about at least the first one compared to the last one when the cat puked up the Tesseract? So
I mean, by the first one, she didn't really care. And I said, "There's another one coming." And I told her what you guys said and everything, and she's sticking around for it. She wants to leave, and it comes up, and she's like, "I hate all your friends right now." She goes. I could have told you that was coming with the cat.
Marilyn, we apologize on behalf of Super Geeks.
Well, of course it's predictable, but it's still funny to watch, just like a real cat. I mean, we all know cats are gonna cough up hairballs. Doesn't mean it isn't entertaining to watch
ladies and gentlemen.
She was very
she appeared like
nonplussed, but my wife was very nonplussed by the whole film. She liked it less than I did. Yeah, so I'm gonna I'm gonna say that I think my grade is exactly where George's is on this. I'm gonna be at 6.5, and that's being generous because it did have it certainly had its moments that it was watchable. And it gives us a great, and I think it serves its purpose for leading us into Endgame. So that's where I'm at. I'm really stoked about fucking Endgame. I'll tell you that much. If that was the point, like I said, if this was the point of this,
that was an actual scene from Endgame.
Well, I know that. I'm saying
you're next, Raul. You're next.
This worked for that, for getting me to spend money to see Endgame.
Okay,
without question. So I'm there on that. It was effective for that. It got me there. So.
Well, the thing is, Sean, I think that when you see Brie Larson in a stronger script with a better director, you will see what you want to see out of that character much more.
I think I agree with you on that because here's the thing: it's like if you look at, for example, the appearances of, I like, for example, Chris Hemsworth. I like him a lot more as Thor in the Avengers movies than I do in the Thor movies. Say the last one, because the last one was just amazing. But the first two, I thought he was so much better than the Avengers. And I see them, with these characters being played by the same actors, doing better in different circumstances is how I look at it. So I think we're going to see a different.
Okay,
Brie Larson.
I have a few other comments that just to separate myself from the crowd here a little bit.
No, let's go. I was going to say.
Oh, Carlos.
Go ahead, Raul.
Carlos is going to be contrarian.
No.
Thank you, Carlos.
Very funny, son. But the
she's spoiling. Go ahead.
The truth is that I enjoyed the movie. I did not find it super original. I don't have to. There's sort of a joy of the superhero movies that you could just take a little brain vacation. They don't all have to be
a brain vacation. I like that, Raul.
They don't all have to be Black Panther, like super deep and with hitting meanings and odes to Hamlet and King Lear. They don't all have to be that way. They can be bubblegum beat 'em ups just like everything else and still be enjoyable. So I did enjoy it. My mother did not enjoy it as much. I thought she would get a kick out of the empowerment. Because let me point out two things. The movie did two things very well.
Take your time.
It set up a relationship, a non-sexual relationship between women
Nick
in
Fury.
film.
Oh, that okay.
No, I'm not talking about Nick Fury. He was there to kind of hand guide the character into prominence. But the young black lady who was her best friend, the one that later turns into Photon. I'm not ruining anything if you read the comics.
No, this is a spoiler review for anybody that hasn't gotten that clue.
Yeah,
earlier.
Absolutely. So
Monica Rambeau, who was originally Photon. Go ahead.
Yeah,
actually, Monica is the daughter. P.S.
Monica's the daughter. Yeah.
In this case,
so
yes.
It showed that Brie Larson could act with a young girl and act with her mother in with similar deep context. And I think that sets up more. That tells me more about where they want to go with this character in the MCU than anything else.
The compassion, like Wonder Woman in the DC.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with you.
She sets up this non-sexual, and this is important because every time I see a woman and woman relationship, there's always a hint of sexuality, and I despise that because that means that the only way women can get along, it's like a type of sexism that goes on in films. The only way women can get along is if they fuck each other, and that's awful.
This is actually this is something that one of the people I watch on YouTube, whose name is Liana Kay, she's one of the old style feminists, talks about. It's called benevolent sexism, and it's a way for male-dominated industries to maintain power by saying this is what feminism looks like, but it's a pre-approved kind of feminism that says this is an acceptable role.
Raul, I want you to keep going, but I want to say one thing real quick to get for your point. I have had so many of my friends point out that they found it refreshing. The two girlfriends without being air quote friends. Like,
yeah.
I agree with you completely because it's like the bromance of any two characters, like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, for example.
Right.
But anyway, carry on, sir.
And it was nice to see that. And when Brie Larson acted with her, it was a different level than the whole other movie. I will say that it seemed to be real and compassionate.
Those were the most. I think the best acted scenes of the relationship between those two. I really agree. I hadn't thought about that, but I think you're absolutely correct. Everything else seemed very forced and contrived, and it just didn't really work.
They tried to do what DC tried to do with Lantern and make it a galactic scale film, and then bring it down to Earth size. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, they were trying to introduce slowly the galactic thing,
the galactic conflict.
They did it with Guardians first, and then. Little by little.
Yeah, but my comment on that particular thing is the transition was not good between she's abducted, she goes and fights the wars and all this stuff for the Kree, then she comes back.
She wasn't really abducted, was she?
Kind of. George.
Yes, she was.
It was very much like
you're
a
right.
Green Little Men type of situation. Yeah. So
no, you're right.
I would like to say there's also another star role in this entire movie, which I enjoyed the hell out of because I love classic movies. It's Annette Bening as both.
Yes, as far as acting, yes. As far as her character.
What else is there?
What is it's a movie, George.
No. I mean, George, what besides acting? What?
Yeah, you're right. I'm just saying, some people are going to say. For everybody that doesn't know what we're talking about, Annette Bening's character started off to be in a tease to one of the Marvel things about the Kree, which is the Great Intelligence. Turns out she's actually...
Supreme.
Oh, yeah, Supreme. And she turns out to be Mar-Vell, the character that in the traditional comics was the male love interest of Carol Danvers that actually was partly responsible for how she got her powers. And I don't have a problem with her turning out to be Mar-Vell, except I do. Because... if the character of Mar-Vell should have been a hero either way. I don't care if it's female.
Well, she was a hero.
She was a hero.
She just wasn't a superhero. I just think that George, you're too wedded to the comics. I mean, come on.
Well, I mean, hello, I'm a comic hero.
It's wrong because it's not like the comics.
Well,
I mean,
this is why
yes,
they made
Carlos.
They made it.
Oh yeah, a little bit, at least a little bit.
No, they made a dramatic choice that made sense for the cinematic universe.
No, hold on. Everybody pause. Hold on.
George, you had your point. Let me talk.
No,
it's my turn.
Yeah, you had your time, George.
You're getting into a subject, though, that is into my childhood. Mar-Vell, as a hero,
exactly, and that's why I'm saying you're too close to it.
No, but he had his own comic for years before he even existed.
No one's denying that, but that doesn't matter because this is the movies.
Right. The MCU. This is the thing. This is why I love the MCU. Okay, because I am so far removed from the comics myself personally. I got to be honest with you guys. I haven't read comics since the early '90s. Okay, I'm that far removed from it. Okay, the MCU is basically giving me a medium to enjoy these characters in with a continuity and a canon. And I don't really care about what happened in the comics. It doesn't.
All right, well, Carlos,
this is always the biggest complaint with people.
Source material is not the same as continued media.
I agree,
I'm
but
sorry.
Well, hold on, Raul. You talk about Dune and all that. So remember, and I know you're a Marvel person. So remember the graphic novel, The Death of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I have it.
Yes, I do.
Yeah, we all talked about this on a previous episode. So we all agreed that was an impactful moment in the Marvel universe. So now they're taking that character. And they're saying, "Oh,
they're not taking that character, George. It's not the same character.
That's the same character.
No, it's
George,
not.
The fact that Captain Marvel has only ever been a woman in the Marvel cinematic universe does not diminish the impact of the character in the comics. They're two entirely separate things.
It's two different timelines.
They made a point of she's that.
I know what the difference is, George. But I'm telling you, it doesn't matter.
Wait a minute. The only thing running through my mind is George must recuse himself. George must recuse himself.
No, in this case, I don't agree with anything everybody has said in this last 5 minutes. But
George, here's the point about this. Okay, the problem is, it's like Carl says about you being wedded to. You're commingling is what you're doing.
Now I got to look that word up. Thank you, sir.
Well, I think you understand.
I think the word he actually is looking for is conflating.
Well, it's even better. Conflating's even better for this. Okay.
Thank God I don't have to Google that. So go ahead.
You're conflating the MCU and the comic book universe as if they're the same thing.
I know, but it's like
it's like
George. Imagine it's Infinite Earths again, but with Marvel.
Well, imagine it was Namor when they finally release him and they don't have the wings on the feet.
I won't care, George, because the core character is important. The accoutrements are not important.
Okay, wait a minute. Okay, as someone who has not seen the film, has not read the comic, and particularly doesn't care about the subject of Captain Marvel, I have to say this, George. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter one way or the other. The same nitpicking that you're doing right now is what a whole bunch
of... That is not nitpicking. He had like a whole several years of comic books.
Literally the whole point is you didn't mention this other guy. And you know what that is, George? That's literally the same shit you were railing on about all those people who are like... downvoting the marketing for Captain Marvel in the first place. Because a lot of those same people said the exact same shit.
Yeah, here's another thing. I want you to look at it from the perspective of this. Okay, I want you to think about this. This is kind of like if you're a Star Trek fan and you start getting pissed because the novels don't match up with what's on.
No, this is not the same.
Yes, it is.
It is absolutely the same.
That's like saying the comics weren't canon. They were. Until the MCU. I mean,
they're not canon for the MCU.
No, I know,
but the novels are.
I understand that, but they're trying to get the fans involved because they're like drawing from that.
They're not trying to get
George. The fans, George. They have a bigger audience.
I agree with you. I'm just saying, for me, Annette Bening is not my Marvel, and not because she's a woman, because she's the bad guy.
Okay, she wasn't the bad guy in this.
She was. Well, kinda.
No, she was the Supreme Intelligence was the bad guy, and that can be anybody.
Oh, you know what? Okay, I remember you guys started. Okay,
she was the
and that's coming back.
When did we get into Doctor Who? When did we get into Doctor Who? The Supreme Intelligence.
No, I forgot that she took over the idea of Captain.
What was it called again? Is it the Supreme? Is that what it is?
Yes, the Supreme Intelligence.
I know. I remember now. Hold on. Let me redact. You know the redact thing. I'm putting up my hand saying redact. I'm not going to edit it. I'm just going to admit on the air that I remember now suddenly the difference there is that she used that persona to get to her. So
right,
but,
It
took me. I mean, I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong, but I just didn't remember that part.
The whole thing started, George, when I said that I enjoyed her performance. I mean, and it set you off, dude.
Right.
I'm just very defensive of Marvel because. Cancer and the hero and
and none of that
has anything to do with the MCU.
It is as good and as impactful as it ever was.
Yeah, I forgot that part. So that's my bad. That's my bad. It's not as trippy.
Can I say something? Wait. One second, guys. George, it matters to you because it's art, and I keep trying.
Well, plus my parents studied cancer, so.
I know, but it's art that's representational to you, and
yes.
and that you're not the only person that it's had that effect on. However, this Marvel universe in the movies, it's its own work of art.
I get that. I do. I like the way they're going with it. I like the way they combined.
Okay, I'm not done yet, though. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I have more to say, and I would like to say something. And I mentioned this to Son off the air. The controversy around Brie Larson and the awkwardness of her words. I am willing to pass it off, not because I'm not a white guy and I hate white guys. Nothing like that. She is 19 or 20 years old. She's a young chick.
No. Okay. She's like in her late.
Brie Larson?
She's in her 30s, dude.
She's not in her 30s.
Yes, she is.
I promise you
she's not 19.
She's... Hold on. If you want me to look it up, I mean...
Yes, look it up.
Keep talking about it. I'll look it up.
So okay. The one thing I want to say is, George...
She's 29.
There you go.
As much as Marvel is impactful to you, and the story of Marvel is something you hold strong to, what is being presented in Captain Marvel, in this particular Captain Marvel, and it's something you're going to have to deal with, is that there is a impactful character being created out of the Lady Captain Marvel here.
I have no problem with that.
One that other people can look up to.
Well, it always was.
And to an extent, yes, you do have a problem, and not because she exists. You have the problem because you don't see that mention of he who came before in Marvel.
No, well,
and that's the big problem. And I get it. That is a character that you hold strong to, but guess what, George? You have years and years and years of comic books to do that with. This is a new character in a relatively young-lived movie series of films.
Can you imagine?
Yes and no.
This is like somebody. This is like my grandfather going and watching Sherlock, Benedict Cumberbatch, and then bitching about because it's not like it was in the 30s. I mean, seriously, that is not my Sherlock. # not my Sherlock. I mean, that's kind of what's going on here. I mean, I learned to separate myself because years ago, you find yourself saying, well, that didn't happen in the comics that way. And if you're going to do that...
It embitters you.
It does. And you got to let that go and just enjoy where the story takes you.
It's now, like when they did with Dr. Dolittle with Eddie Murphy. It's
Before
not my
God.
No,
it's just not. I want Rex Harrison.
Wait a minute. No, there's actually a more modern analogy here.
And the
Heath
movie
Ledger
was not my Doolittle.
Wait a minute. Heath Ledger as the Joker. How much backlash did they get? We don't want Brokeback Joker, and then all of a sudden,
but there had already been.
And guess what? Only
Best
Heath
Joker.
Ledger as the Joker.
Yep,
but there
exactly.
had no. But in this case, there had never been other representations to compare her to. Carlos, ironically, even though we've so far into the show, I have not yet got to your opinion of Captain Marvel.
Well, I mean, I actually, although I think I liked it a lot more than Sean did, and certainly his wife, I would actually give it about a 6.5.
Okay,
I'd give it
so
the
we're
same
all on
rating.
the same sheet so far.
I thought it was. I thought it was a good movie.
I'm on 7.5.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I mean, I might go up to a 7, but 6.5 feels about right to me. It's a better than average movie.
Let me, Carlos, before you continue, the reason I give it a 7.5 is because even the worst Marvel movie is better than the best DC movie. Period.
Well, all right, that's your bar.
Oh.
Wait, Raul, have you seen Aquaman? I don't want to sidetrack, but have you seen Aquaman?
I have not yet.
Then
you got nothing to talk about, Ming.
Yeah, hold my beer.
Wonder Woman was excellent, by the way.
Right, I'm not trying to sidetrack.
Yeah, also a DC movie.
Right, I'm just saying, Raul, hold my beer, because when you see Aquaman, we might have another conversation.
Also, I'd like to point out before we continue, both Wonder Woman and Aquaman, movies that had a stink because of who the main character was being those characters. And now the fans, after having seen the movie, go, only this character.
No, they didn't have that doubt with Jason Momoa.
Only this actor.
Because we hadn't seen. Well, that's. You know what? Actually, never mind. You're right. Carry on, Carlos, because we need to hear your thoughts.
Well, I mean, they're not dissimilar from what people have said ahead of me. I mean, it's good, not great. I laughed today because I was reading some audience reviews of it, and the one that I thought was the most charming was this dad who said that he took his little girl to see it, and she loved it, and because she loved it, he loved it, and he says, it is one of my favorite MCU movies. It's probably number 19 on our list. I'm like,
well, I bet all the animated memes.
Woohoo, it's way up there.
Oh my god. Yeah, did he say how old the daughter was, or?
I think she was 12, maybe.
But
my point is, it's not a great movie. It's a good movie. It served its purpose.
Yes, I agree.
Everything Sean said, I agree with, except for the part where he basically didn't like it. I did like it. I like the cat coughing up at the end. I think there are too many cat heroes right now, generally, because I'm a dog person, but that's a whole other topic.
Yeah, is it overhyped? Sure, but who cares? I mean,
you know what it reminded me of? It's the same. It was the same looking. It's the same looking cat from the Cat from Space from Disney a long time ago. Do you remember that?
No.
Vaguely.
Oh, Carlos, you were old enough. Don't even try.
Okay,
no, but that's still a long time ago. I barely remember my phone number.
What you know what the Marvel Cinematic Universe needs? A chameleon pet hero.
Oh, well, you know what, son?
Like an actual
That's pretty much
chameleon.
what Goose is. You haven't seen the movie. Goose is pretty much the cat that's like out of the hat, and
he's not a cat. He's a
flirkin. He's a flirkin. Right.
Flirkins are very dangerous.
Can we talk about Nick Fury's eye for just a minute?
What I mean is
because you're gonna. I know the rant you're gonna go on, George.
No, I'm not gonna rant about this.
What I mean
I'm actually
is
okay with
an actual gecko pet that's a hero, like an actual gecko.
You know, I don't know. There might have been
a whole series of commercials for that.
Can we talk about the actual movie we're reviewing for a second?
Well, hold on. I do want to point this out too, Carlos. I did like it. I just didn't like it nearly as much as the other MCU films. Is what it comes down to.
I liked it better than Iron Man 2.
I did too.
Iron Man 2 was
especially in Iron Man 3.
I liked Iron Man.
No, I liked Iron Man 3.
Iron Man 3 was good.
I hated all of them.
Okay, I will have to discuss another time because we're going to go off into way big tangents on that. But anyway, yeah, I mean, it's not horrible at all. I did enjoy it for what it was.
No, I get what you're saying, Sean. But to you, 6.5 is a meh, and to me, 6.5 was still pretty fun.
Yeah.
Well, that's
and you know what though, the numbers kind of say 6.5 is okay.
Let's make one thing clear.
Yeah, it's
wait, Sean, hold on. Let's make one thing clear. This movie is still tracking. It's been like what, the second weekend? It's doing amazing. It's not.
Yeah, it's close to $500 million.
Yeah, let's point that out to everybody listening to us. Even though we're ranting about our personal opinions, no matter what we think, this movie is going up.
No, I pointed this out in the group last week. That
we're talking about people listening. Like, I'm just saying.
Right, but I'm
this
making
show is doing. This movie is.
Let him talk, Sean George.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was the one that started. Okay, go ahead, Sean.
Well, here's the thing: is that I pointed this out that if you go to CinemaScore, which is really the only accurate assessment you can ever get of audience reactions to movies. It's got an A on CinemaScore because if people don't know CinemaScore, what they do is they do basically exit polling on the opening night. Okay, that's what they do with all films all around the country. It's all very scientifically done. And this movie has an A rating, okay, and it's A to F, okay. It's got an A rating. So despite what I think about it, audiences loved it, and good for them. To me, that's the best part about it. The best metric for any movie is, did the audience coming out of it enjoy it and think they got their money's worth? And they do. Good. That's what it comes down to. Then Marvel has done their job, and Disney has done their job. That's what it comes down to.
You know what the better sunshine moment of that is, Sean? That they'll do more superhero movies and they'll explore the MCU deeper, which is great for us.
It's exactly right. Exactly. It's like it's like people who, we've talked about with Star Trek Discovery. It's like, I was not that big of a fan of the first season. I supported it, but it needs to be successful, so we get more of it. Is what it comes down to. And that's absolutely. And that's the best part about that. Is that
nerds are the first people to take down their own self-interests.
Yep. Nobody like I always said about Star Trek fans. Nobody hates Star Trek more than a Star Trek fan. That's the truth.
Nobody hates Star Trek more than the original Star Trek cast.
Yeah, that's true.
Does nobody remember that George Takei was railing on the Next Generation before it came out, saying it wasn't them?
He wasn't the only one at all that was doing that during that
Guys,
time.
let's give this movie a rating, and then I want to move on to another subject. I'm going to separate this because I feel like our review of Captain Marvel is important. We've said a lot about it. But before, wait, just to make sure, I'm at 6.5. Carlos, you're at what? Were you 6.5 too, or what was it?
Same.
Okay.
Same.
And Sean,
everyone is the same but me.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you were 7?
Where I was
7.5.
Okay.
All right. So basically, this movie is right along with the critics.
No. The critics are
I think the critics have it at 79%. That is not
No,
this movie was good. It just wasn't like
phenomenal. Wait, which score are we going by with that, Carlos?
Well, okay, go ahead.
I think that was Rotten Tomatoes.
Okay, because the Metacritic score, it literally shows the review tagline.
Yeah, we're going to another subject
from the articles that were written. And those are generally
okay. Well, this is super geek This is super geek standards.
But here's the thing: I always refer to Metacritic before I do to RT. So I'm curious, what is the overall Metacritic score for critics on this movie? I'm just curious.
You had to ask.
Well, yeah, she's got it in front of her. I thought
you're not going to get an answer. She has to look it up now.
I have the link on hand. I wasn't looking at it. It's 6.4.
Okay, so it's right where you and we are. Okay,
which is not bad.
No, but here's the thing. With Metacritic though, 60 and above, that's generally positive. Is how they factor that in.
Right.
It's when you get, I think,
same with Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's like, was it like 75 and above is universal acclaim is how they factor that in. But yeah, so 65 is fine. I mean, exactly.
Yeah, I didn't say it was. I didn't say that was a bad thing. I said
no. I'm not saying you were. I'm just thinking out loud. I'm sorry about that. What? By the way, son, did you see it, son? By the way, I didn't.
No. I don't really care about seeing this film. The not only the controversy of it, the just looking at like the critic review scores, it's like, I can skip this.
Son and Casey are like our meta commentary. In a way, they're like our own Rotten Tomatoes inside this chat.
Well, I am. As far as her comments are concerned, not hers, but Brie Larson's. Here's the thing. I got her message. I think it could have been delivered better. Is really what it comes down to.
All right, I'm gonna say, Sean.
That's all I'm saying about that.
All right, let's. I'm gonna say. Hang on a second, because I want to say, as far as our Captain Marvel review, I want to separate this from the rest of the show, which isn't going to be much longer. But I just want to separate because it's a lot easier. Because this was Carlos, haha. You know what I'm saying?
What? You mean Raul?
It took a little longer to get through this.
No, I said that I didn't want to talk about it for more than
right, but we did.
But we did.
We took actually a whole show's normal side, by the way.
Oh, then
before we leave, can I just ask one question
to
everyone?
Yes.
If you were to describe what Captain Marvel's powers are what would you say?
Oh, I can answer that, but I'm going to let everybody else go first.
Superman with hand blasts.
Yeah, laser hands in flying. That's what I got.
Photonic
She's
energy
strong,
control.
she's powerful.
They're the most indistinct powers I've ever seen.
They're actually not.
They're awful.
If you're, except for as far as the MCU described them.
I mean,
all I'm saying is blasts come out of her hand and somehow.
Carlos, I'm going to tell you right now. You should know the character.
Powerful?
She is actually one of the most powerful characters in the entire.
But so they say, and I believe
so they
it.
say, but we've not
there's
seen
not
it on screen.
anything.
You saw it in
on
the last
screen.
moment.
This is the problem, George.
It's
This is
indistinct,
exactly
though.
right. This is exactly the problem, George. The people who don't read the comic books don't know that. And as we keep saying,
that's why I said aside the comics.
As we keep saying, though, you have to look at this from the perspective that the MCU is an entirely separate universe from the comic universe. So
I agree with that.
As Carlos points out, they did not give us any kind of exposition at all exactly why her powers are so badass. Yes, I get it. She flies and she's got hand cannons. Amazing. Okay. But we've been also set up with this notion that she's the key to defeating Thanos.
I actually agree with you on that.
And so if we're not going to be, if that's the case, then we need to know a little bit more about why flying and having hand cannons is so flippin' important.
You know what's funny?
Can I speak on this?
Yes.
I think that the key that they didn't link up very well is that the technology is actually her. The technology that Marvel was investigating actually comes to fruition in her. She is light speed. She is light speed level.
But we don't know
power.
what that means. I don't know what that means.
That's
exactly,
the point, right?
Exactly
we don't know.
my point. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. Everybody.
Okay, so you all realize that she's been set up as this key, right? You know what that means?
Oh shit. Yeah.
What?
Captain
oh my gosh,
Marvel,
she's like the Dana, the Sigourney Weaver of the Ghostbusters. Yeah.
Captain Marvel is being Captain Marvel is suffering from a case of Voyageritis.
Oh God, please.
Oh
no.
fuck! What?
Just random plot solutions for problems that.
No,
that
it's
exist.
not random.
We won't
See
know
where
until
you're
we
going
see
with that.
Endgame, frankly.
Yeah.
We won't know. I mean, right now, it's like all of a sudden, she flies up into into
and
orbit
they have their
and is able to destroy all these
the truth is that she was more interesting as a character when she had less powers, when she was just a hand cannon.
As far as Brie Larson, Raul, I heard what you just said, but listen, my only opinion is, as far as her portrayal of Captain Marvel as an actress, is when she spoke. This is my only criticism. I don't want anybody to think I hate them. But
it's about your 15th criticism, George.
But maybe. But
That's
she spoke so softly, and I'm not saying women have to speak loudly, but she was so.
That's your criticism?
No,
she didn't talk loud enough for you?
No, no, it's not. See, I knew you people were gonna go there. Everybody. When I say you people, I mean everybody. Anybody.
Wow, just to keep digging that
hole,
hole,
my
man.
God.
You just keep digging the hole, George.
I mean anybody. I'm just making sure. Because I was gonna say that she says anything she says is so. You compare it when she says something like when she looks at Thor.
George, I don't think that's. I know where you're going with this. And
like in Thor, in the Endgame trailer.
I'll throw you.
So
a
she's
rope.
not good because she's not like Thor.
Yes.
I'm going to throw you a rope.
Ridiculous.
No.
If you can stop, I'll throw you a life preserver on this.
Sean,
I think I know where you're going. trying to help you out here.
All right.
I think the problem, and this is a problem I have, is that she didn't come off with. Is it? I think gravitas is kind of where I'm going with this. For a lot of it, of just strength. I think that's kind of where.
That's part of a lot of the reviews, that she seems like a meek character.
Yes, meek. That's the word I'm looking for.
Right. It wasn't that she was.
It's not against like the character. I know the character. It's her portrayal of the character.
I don't think it's a portrayal. Dude,
I don't think it's a portrayal. It's the writing. Period.
It is the point of the character that she was too meek. It wasn't until she believed in herself.
No, she didn't change her tone. It was the same all
But here's the thing.
It's not about her tone.
We see her here's the thing. In the beginning of that film, we see her. She's already on the Kree homeworld being trained. She's already a fucking badass, okay? And so when she goes back,
enough.
We didn't see her progress.
But she, I don't even care about that. The point being is that her meekness we saw from flashbacks, okay? But when she goes back to Earth, okay, it's like she's back on Earth and she's surrounded by these idiot humans, okay, by the Kree standards, okay, and it's just like you said, she comes off as kind of not soft spoken, but just like not nearly, I guess, a badass as much as a badass as you would expect. I guess is kind of how I got that, and it seemed like it kind of like was up and down too. It's like it's some moments somebody else was writing the script, and it's some moments somebody else was, and it wasn't her. I think it's just the material, and this could be an issue of editing too, the way this was edited together.
Yeah, but, that's possible.
So I mean, but I wouldn't say soft spoken is what we're going for here. It's just she didn't like really have that kind of gravitas that I would have expected consistently.
She was strong as far as her facial expressions and her demeanor, but when it came to the voice that came out of her, that's all I'm saying. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a male or female. All right, I would have the same criticism either way. But it's just, if you're going to play this character, I don't have a problem. It doesn't mean you have to be strong to be a powerful character as far as your voice. But the delivery of the lines, it felt like she had the same tone when she's talking to Nick Fury in a car as she did when she was telling Jude Law later on that she's going to, kick his ass. It didn't feel like there was any difference. To me, that
I see that argument, and here's the other thing too. I want to ask this about Marvel. Okay, so here's the point. So Marvel's a Kree, right? A Kree who
Marvel in the original story.
We don't care about the comics, George. We care about the movie.
He asked.
No, I didn't. I'm asking about the movie because they.
Oh, right. Okay, Marvel. Okay. Well, yeah, Kree. Yeah.
Okay. So Marvel's a Kree in the film. Marvel's a Kree, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So she is turning against her own people for doing this genocide of these refugees,
yes.
Right? Okay.
Yes.
This is another problem with this film is that never gets explained at all. You just kind of have to. You have to just presume that was the reason, I guess.
You can see.
I would like to posit something, Sean. 1 second. The inclusion of Nick Fury was an afterthought in the original plan. I'm almost seeing it because it looked like it was wedged in there, and all of these plot points that we're talking about now seem like they were cut away in order to hit under a certain time mark.
Yeah, I agree with that. And they shoehorn, and he does feel like he's shoehorned in there to be the comic relief sidekick almost, which is just weird.
It was weird. I've been looking at the Metacritic scores, looking for a somewhat similar take to you guys that also has some standout comments. And I actually found one. So if you don't mind me reading it,
go ahead.
Okay, so this person is named Hannah and said, I did love the cast and how good they worked together, but it feels like it was done as a prerequisite for Endgame. The direction was bad, the script is very plain, and as is the way they cut it. It did not transmit the feelings the actors were playing. Brie is an awesome drama actress, but the creators did not take the best of her. It feels like they made the movie running and then ran out of time to deliver something that was good in idea but made it mediocre. It could have worked a lot better if they had more time or effort in it. The cast did an awesome job, but the rest wasn't there. Marvel came down with this one.
I don't agree with that only because of one part of what you said. If they had more time. Brie Larson is a great actress, and I don't think more time would have serviced anything.
I disagree entirely. I agree with. I want to give Hannah a round of applause. That movie came in. I think that was not a 2-hour film. I think it came in at 1 hour and 40 minutes. I'm not sure of any. MCU
no, it was 2 hours.
It was exactly 2 hours. Okay, it didn't feel
just
like
about
it.
exactly.
All right. Well, okay.
That means you were not.
I agree with Sean.
If they could have thrown, I think if they had gone another 20 minutes, okay, and really 2
hours and 20 minutes.
Well, that's not uncommon for an MCU film. I mean, give us
just wait for Endgame. It's even longer.
Look, here's the thing: is that the this comes down to like again the Nick Fury scene seems so shoehorned into this film, and if they had eliminated a lot of that, okay, eliminate a lot of that in
I wouldn't say shoehorn only because he's part of the whole plot, the whole movie.
But it doesn't, George. This is her story.
It wouldn't have mattered.
It wouldn't
really
have mattered
wouldn't have
him
mattered.
being in this.
All right, I'll give you that.
All
right,
okay,
I'll give you that.
I think you can't.
When people say shoehorn, it's like I just look at like less time, but he was throughout the whole movie.
He was, but he
But
was.
look,
that's not has nothing to do with time.
I mean, here's the thing: you could literally cut out. And I haven't even seen the film. I'm just listening to you guys, and it sounds like you could literally chop out every single Nick Fury scene and literally replace it with a little beeper that he's got from the fucking scene.
No, I don't agree with that.
I don't think that's fair.
Look, not at all. He was great in this film.
You could have limited. No, I thought he was terrible, and it's not him. It's what they turned the character into.
The script was bad.
It was earlier. Okay, go ahead.
I wouldn't even say the director was bad. I think that once again, I'll give my opinion. When your source material is garbage, or not up to the standards of what Marvel has put out, no one can do. Can make it better. A director cannot make it better. A producer cannot make it better. A lead actress, a supporting
except
actor.
One of the two directors was the writer.
That's the problem.
Well. Anyways, so let's move on a little bit.
So we had two different visions on this as well. There were two directors in this film.
So let's go ahead and this. I told you this was going to happen, Carlos. This took up the whole show, and that's fine. That's fine. I have no problem. I expected this. So let's just go on to say, let's rate this movie. So, Carlos, what would you give this movie? You already said 6.5.
I already rated. We already said
6.5. I'm sorry.
It was generally agreed that
6.5
was around the same as the Metacritic score.
All right. Casey, even though you haven't seen this movie, based on what we said, what would you rate this movie?
What?
Well, I gotta go 0.0 until I see it.
Casey, can you just say...
And there it is.
This is a spoiler review one more time.
This is a spoiler review. 0.0 until seen.
You are so hired, dude.
You must be so hot in bed, Casey. I swear to God.
Well, he is a grandfather, so...
Yeah, ta-ta, baby.
Yeah. Sean...
6.5.
Okay, wait a minute.
Why are we doing this again?
No, I'm just saying Sean.
Just to sum it up.
Yeah. But, sort of. But anyways,
Carlos, only the important people.
Yeah, Raul, where can people find you? Do you want people to find you?
Silencio, por favor. 3, 2, 1. Accione.
Did you say Axanar in Spanish? I don't know.
Oh, no, he did
not.
Oh,
for fuck's sake.
George,
just cut it out and move on.
Just
come on, brother.
Without a
he
goodbye,
gave you.
please.
He even gave you the pause this time, George. You could have said, "So, hey, Carlos, where can we find you?"
I don't even want to ask you guys anymore because I have to edit the shit out of this. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, Carlos, where can we find you?
Why don't we just say thank you, everyone, and good night?
Yes.
Thank you, everyone, and good night.
That's it. Show over. That's